Welcome to KillieOrCory's fish room. Ideally, I would like to be able to get into the fish room a couple of times a day, but what sort of tends to happen is often I can get into the fish room just once. So I end up coming in the evening, just spend a little bit of time here. It can range from 10 minutes, 15 minutes to hour and a half or so. And then every day I'm obviously feeding fish, checking the health of the fish, and also looking at what is breeding. To be honest, because I have so many tanks, I don't get to check as many mops as I would like. And so what I end up doing is I sort of look through, select few mops and tanks for fry and eggs, and then whatever is work have spawned on that day. And also I observe the fish. Sometimes I see, for example, with the Corydoras species, I see spawning activity, fish behaving in a slightly different way. I can see the males sort of starting to show more interest in the females. I can see females looking around, sort of mouthing spawning sites where they usually would like to put their eggs in. And the next day evening, when I go around and check for eggs. So that's kind of what happens with the Corys, but with killies and stuff, you sort of have to check the mops every day. And I'll show you a bit of how I feed my fish as well. Today on the menu is decapsulated brine shrimp eggs. A few peppermint bristlenoses, ancestral species. In Australia we call these peppermint bristlenoses. The exact L number I'm not so sure. I think we're kind of guessing it in Australia, but we just call them peppermint bristlenose. They're fry, kind of looking like that. The others are super red bristlenose fry, but that's one of the fry of the peppermints. So I got quite a few of them. They're very nice fish. The type of food that I use in the fish room is decapsulated brine shrimp eggs. I feed that to fry, juvenile fish and adult fish as well. Basically any fish you can feed baby brine shrimp to, you can probably feed the decapsulated brine shrimp. It sort of looks like that. It's brine shrimp eggs that have had their shell removed, pretty much what decapsulated means. The way I feed the fish is in a plastic beaker, I put a bit of water, and then I actually get a few spoons of the decapsulated brine shrimp and I put that in the water. I use many different types of food in the fish room. This is just one of it. And then obviously that just floats at the top. Then I take a pipette, I start mixing it through. It takes a little while for the decapsulated eggs to absorb the water and start sinking. And then what happens is they start to sink, and then I'll pipette that into tanks, and I'll just show you that in a second. But as it's happening in the first few seconds or a minute or so, there's fair few decapsulated brine shrimp eggs that hang on the surface, but that's actually good food as well. So what I do, for example, these are all decapsulated brine shrimp eggs that are stuck on the pipette, I have these Epipletis chevalieri that hang on the surface, so when I dip this in the water, all of that actually stays on top. And then this fish actually quite enjoy eating that from the surface. So that works very, very well actually for these fish. The other type of fish that I have, that these floating ones that work very well for, is these half-beaks. These forest half-beaks, these are juveniles, so I have that sort of float on the surface, and these guys actually like to eat them on the surface, so that works very, very well. Here I have some of the larger half-beak, young half-beak I have, so I put that in the surface, and so the decapsulated eggs started sinking to the bottom, so I can pipette that out, so it's sort of full of decapsulated brine shrimp eggs. So I can take some of that. Let's go and feed some fish. Let's feed a fish that you guys can see easily. I didn't pre-plan this obviously, so let's look at these orchid endless. Could have done that better, couldn't I? So these guys are really enjoying them. And in this tank I have a few simian ciliate juveniles, and they also get the decapsulated baby brine shrimp. Well, decapsulated brine shrimp eggs actually, it's not, because they're not hatched, so they really like eating that. And then when it starts to fall to the bottom, the cories on the bottom also eat that, so it's pretty good food. Here we have some striatum adults, they get that as well, but it's some of the here's the cories that came out to eat the decapsulated brine shrimp as well. In this tank I have Corydoras venezuelanus and also Corydoras fulleri. The long-nosed species is the fulleri. When I first got these fish many years ago, they were C116, I believe, and then since then they got named after the well-known Corydoras personality Ian Fuller, which I haven't had a chance to meet yet, Maybe one day I will get to one of the catfish conventions in UK. Corys and Killies, a great combo. I should come up with a name that would suit me, that has the Killies and Corys in it. Do you guys have any ideas? Here's another tank to feed decapsulated brine shrimp tonight. I don't feed decapsulated brine shrimp every night, but these guys are half black pastel guppies. If you can't hatch baby brine shrimp, this might be an option, but these days there's so many different foods available in the market that works super well feeding fish as well. So you don't really need this, but this is one of the foods that I use in my rotation. You remember these guys which embarrassed me last time by not having any eggs in the mops? Well, today they decided to give me some eggs. So there's one here and another one there. A good opportunity to show you. Occasionally you'll find snails in the mops, so when you're squeezing your mops to get rid of excess water, be careful about snails in there. I have red ramshorn snails in most of my tanks. I don't think of them as pests. They're actually really useful in eating uneaten food in the tanks and keep the water quality. But anyway, got eggs from these guys, so yay. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Have a good one.